I once had a client who claimed that she didn't see any red flags before she accepted a job, and I was like, no, I definitely think you settled for this job. I mean, I understand why, and I know the process to get there, but anytime that we are settling for a job, it is always a red flag right behind the offer, okay? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about why it's really dangerous for Black women to settle in their careers and a couple of flags that I have noticed over the years as a career coach for Black women. Also, it is my goal to get a lot more active in terms of content creation on YouTube. Let me know what you all want to know. I am a career coach for Black women, and yeah, come with me for the day as I vlog and talk about this complex issue because it really impacts a lot of Black women in the workplace. So in my opinion, career settling happens when we basically take a role that we think is a just for now job. And so often settling and how we view settling in our career isn't like what we typically think about settling, like, oh, I knew I deserved better and I could have better, but I just like settled for it. Usually when it comes to our career, it came out of a standpoint of like really needing a job or being in a toxic environment and really needing to get out of there, having to relocate, needing more. I literally just said this was doing okay. But it usually comes because we are making a decision that's not like a higher self decision, not like a best case scenario decision. And so we often feel like it's a stepping stone or a pivot point, particularly because we as Black women have so many issues with navigating the workplace in a safe and equitable way that we're just like, okay, we can't actually have that. What I want to talk about is the actual really bad outcomes that happen when Black women just kind of settle and they don't pick a job or a career based on what they most desire or the ideal outcome, be that a really great supervisor, a promotion, an increase, the environment they want, like remote work. Yeah, let's get into it. So stay until the end because I will be telling you all about what my client learned and also some tips to avoid this in the future. So the major issue is that like settling and the desperation that comes with it when we are settling, honestly, it kind of like turns off all of our critical thinking in terms of evaluating an employer, right? We know that one of the best ways for Black women to stay safe in their job search is to say, hey, I'm really evaluating and interviewing the employer, right? Like I know that this is not just a one-way street. I know that it's just as important for me to be fulfilled and to like my next employer as it is for them to feel like they're making a great hire and getting to leverage my talent and skills. So when you start to settle, the power imbalance that is looking for a job is just more, I don't know, exacerbated, right? And then you're more likely to say, you know what, it can't be that bad. I'll just take this job. So for the most part, I've been telling you about this from the perspective of a career coach, but I'm actually about to put on my HR hat for a moment so you know that you're going to get both perspectives, okay? Often when there's an organization that isn't doing right in some way, shape, or form, maybe it's underpay, maybe it's that their managers weren't kind to you, maybe it's that their process was really long and it was unorganized and you found it stressful and you just kind of chalked that up to people being busy, and so therefore you just accepted the job because you were like, oh, it can't really be that bad. They did eventually get back to me, they did screen me, and they had good interview questions, so it can't be that bad, right? But at the end of the day, those are really big signs of greater disorganization in the company. And I can tell you that from a standpoint of having like really organized recruitment processes and really disorganized recruitment processes, and that the things that you're noticing, whether that's really slow and disorganized recruitment, is always indicative of a greater problem in the organization. And I say that as somebody who has been a candidate and has been accepted, and also someone who is a recruiter and has been managing the insanity inside. And I think the worst thing that you can do is actually ignore cultural differences and challenges, right? So if people aren't respectful, you don't actually vibe with your recruiters, that's a pretty good sign that you're not going to like being there at the end of the day. I'll also say, okay, recruiters, sure, like recruiters are one thing, but definitely the hiring manager, the people that you're working with, if there's a hiring panel and you don't really feel like you're having a warm welcome, what is it gonna look like when you're actually there, right? Which is why ignoring those red flags and settling for a job that didn't quite feel really exciting to you is a problem. So So before I go co-work, I will tell you what happened with my client. We were having a conversation and I was like, there's always red flags before you accept an offer. You might not see it, you might not know, but I promise you there were always red flags. And so when we were talking about it, and she was like, well, I really need to accept this job. And I was like, I know you had to relocate. I know you had to move. But I'm just telling you that there's always red flags. So let's talk about it. So we talked about it and I was like, okay, so in this case, the red flag is that they were paying well below the market rate in a relatively affluent area. And again, she was like, oh yeah, I knew that because she tried to negotiate the offer and they were like, no, we're not negotiating. We'll give you this much, but we're not able to go up to that much. So she ended up accepting the offer. It was a little bit more, but it wasn't all that she wanted. And so it's just the different dynamics of saying like, hey, I recognize that I needed this job. I'm also recognizing that I am kind of settling into this job, but I knew why I did that. It's like acknowledging it is really important, right? And so is my client at that job anymore? She's not, okay? It was rough. It was a rough job and there were always signs. So I'm not saying this to say that you are the problem. It is always based on the employer. It is not based on you, but at the end of the day, those signs are there. So I did not finish my video yesterday. I literally went in that coffee shop and I just put in that work. Okay, your girl was busy and she was productive and she was ready to go. So we're gonna have to finish off this later today, but I'm also going to Hard Rock Casino and maybe I'm gonna vlog it. So we'll see how this goes. Yay! And as promised, I'm going to share a couple of strategies to make sure that you do not settle so that you avoid this for yourself. Okay. The first one is to seek abundance. So again, it's usually this dynamic where we think we aren't going to find the role, or we're not going to be paid well, or we're going to be laid off, or we can't really find a positive play. These are all reasons, right? Or we're going to run out of money, right? If we've been laid off. And I totally get that. This is not to undermine any of those things, but it is to, instead of saying, hey, because all of these things are happening, because this is what I have experienced, then it obviously makes sense that I'm not going to find a better opportunity. What I'm encouraging you to do is to instead say, I know all of this has happened. I know it's not great. I know maybe even when I'm looking around, I don't see a lot of options for myself, but I am still going to trust and believe that there is something better for me, right? And that means that you can go look for that something better, okay? It means that you don't stay stuck. When you look at things from it could be better, or things are always working out for me, right? When you are thinking from a mindset of abundance of what you want and what you desire, okay, it shifts a lot of the ways that you move and act, and you are less likely to settle. But it's also important because an abundance mindset is going to help you do number 2 a lot better. Coffee's almost done, so yeah. So let's finish off these tips, okay? Make sure that you do not settle in your career because, like I said, girl, it is dangerous. So number 2 is to set your standards. I love to joke that career coaching is sometimes a little bit like dating coaching and we don't really talk about it enough. But when we are going through a job search or we are looking for a promotion, a lot of the times we don't look at this as saying, hey, I really need to evaluate that this is going to work out for me as much as it is going to work out for the other person, the person who is our supervisor, the employer. I want us to really be more specific about saying what I want and what I don't want, what I will tolerate or will not tolerate. Actually, I even feel like the tolerate thing kind of puts you in a different mindset. Okay, I can deal with it. No, we want to be in this state of I really love what I do. I really love my job. I'm well compensated. This work environment is a safe place for me. That is what I want for Black women. And so setting those standards and saying this is what I want and what I don't want is going to help you better evaluate your next steps and make sure that you're not settling. So don't do this when you're in a bad headspace. Don't do this when you're feeling a little pessimistic about the future, okay? We want to do this when we're in a good space, okay? And the third one is to stand on business. When you are in that interview, when you are accepting an offer, did they offer you what you asked? Did they show to you that there would be opportunities for growth and development? Did you vibe with them? Is this a place that you think you really want to work? These are all really questions that you should be asking and evaluating in an interview process, and they're based on your standards. But those standards only work if we actually stay accountable to them. So once you write those standards, I want you to make a commitment to yourself that you are going to adhere to these standards and that you're not going to accept a role that is not going to meet those standards, okay? Now, one of the things that I want you to know is that I really stand on business about this, okay? I have written standards. I've helped community members write their standards. I've helped clients write their standards, and because standards are so important. And I'm saying this because I know that when you do not adhere to those standards, bad things happen in your career. And so one of the things that I've been really, really clear about is making sure that Black women have the tools and the resources to break the toxic job search cycle. And I have training in my Career Love community all about that. So if this sounds like something that you want to do better at, you want to learn more, you want to really learn how to take on that abundance mindset, set standards, and launch a strategic job search that is going to help you get to your next level where you can really be in your Black Woman Bliss era, go ahead and look at the description, go find out more about the community and sign up. Now, if you have any questions before you join, absolutely let me know. One of the things that's so important to me is making sure that I'm building a community that is really inclusive, is supportive, and that helps Black women every step of the way. So if you want to learn more, you can go below, and I hope you found this really helpful. Okay, I know that was a lot. I did not think this vlog was going to take as much time to do, but I'm so glad that it really did it, and we'll see if this looks well. I don't even know if the footage is going to go well. This is the first time that I'm truly vlogging this way. So let me know if you like this style or not, whatever, I'm okay. But that being said, I hope you really enjoyed this video. I hope you leave this video feeling inspired. I hope that you know that you can have your Black Woman Bliss era, okay? And you can take it, right? And you can do that all without settling. If you like this video, make sure that you subscribe. I will see you for the next video. I think I'm going to be doing some business videos. I've got some new podcast episodes coming out, so I'm super excited about that, and I'll see you later. Bye.